Welcome to your Conscious Choices for Wellness podcast, hosted by B. Crutelli. This is a space for everyone to learn anything and everything related to healthy healing, including naturopathic medicine, music, dance, yoga, meditation, eco-fashion, mothering, and organic lifestyle choices. Topics for expanding universal consciousness. Come join me weekly as we delve in and begin this journey, sharing valuable content gathered over the past 3 decades, helping to support a healthier and more sustainable future for all. Welcome to today's episode, number 27. Oh my gosh, 27. That is over half a year. I just kind of realized that I have been doing this now let's just say over half a year. So not a full year, but we are going on, 7-8 months. I took a few weeks off here and there for different things, but I am committed to doing this every week. And I thank you all so much for being here. Today's episode on sustaining our connection to Mother Earth. So how can we be more connected, right? Because that's really what it's all about. It really, really is. If you believe that you're a spiritual being, that you are one with the earth, then of course we want to have that relationship, that connection. And that's really what brings us the most joy and fulfillment. So tapping into our natural human intelligence. I put that natural intelligence, but then really it's like our natural human intelligence because we are human. And there is artificial intelligence now all around us. And it is very real, and it is going to be more and more as the years, ahead of us come into fruition. So what is our staying connected to our natural human intelligence so we don't get so far away from it, especially now in the era of AI? So I'm going to go into some tips towards the end of this podcast, and on my blog, I will have a link to it in the show notes about how you can strengthen easy ways. You can strengthen your microbiome health because I've spoken on this before. And again, I highly believe that this is not just something I believe, but it is factual that our microbiome health is truly connected to the earth, to other microbes on this planet. That is how we are similar. And microbial health is so, so important. That's why you hear that if you don't have a healthy microbiome within your body, if that is destroyed and you're struggling with gut health, then the rest of your health will also be compromised, because that is the key to all health. And it makes so much sense now. Our microbes are so essential to life. And it's because they are living and they're bringing us more life. And so the less of them we have, the less life we're going to feel, and our health is going to then be, diminished. So it just makes sense. So how can we detox our living space, nourish thy body, and live more consciously when we may be surrounded by nonsense? Okay, what does this mean? Yes, I said nonsense, which is referring to what we have been conditioned to believe. If we stop to look around at our surroundings and then ask, what is really real, right? What have we been fed? What lies have we maybe been led into? Then ask, what is really helping thy soul to reflect and grow into our best, highest self, in which our dreams are really fulfilled, on the highest level, meaning while we are also feeling joy. Some of us can fulfill certain dreams, and then not really feel happy afterwards. Like we're still lacking something because we're not really connected to our highest self, to spirit, to earth. And the answer lies within our own inner natural intelligence. And this intelligence is essentially our intuition working. Our intuition, I'm beginning to realize, is really our microbiome. It stems from our gut, right? And our microbiome stems from our gut health, right? So obviously, if that's an intelligence within us, then that is going to probably be our intuition. Now, I haven't delved into this on the internet. I haven't done a lot of research, but I do know some things. And I know that I've lacked with my own intuition throughout my life. And I know that my gut health was destroyed as a child. So it just makes so much sense. And now I'm trying to work more on my gut health, where I have been for years. And it really takes years to accomplish that after it's been completely destroyed. But it is so much better. And I still have more work to do. And there are other ways, not just, there's different ways you can work on your gut health. And I'm going to give you some simple ways at the end of this podcast. But it's not just diet. Diet is definitely a huge factor. So are our societal learned beliefs sustaining us to become our full potential? False belief systems created from fear, lack, doubt will never give back the joy and peacefulness that we all want after all the hard work is finally said and done. Ultimately, and sadly enough, this facade blinds, even brainwashes many, pulling us away farther and farther from our true nature, where we came from, who we are at our core essence. Our intuition is essentially our microbes within us communicating on the deepest level of our beingness. So how does this alteration of humanity happen? Over time, of course, but it's so much more than we think on the surface, so much more than what we are taught by society at large. I'm beginning to see more and more the correlation of how diet definitely plays a role, a profound role, in what I'm blatantly going to state as the dumbing down effect. So this culture has become monocropped. I'm putting monocropped on a large scale, which constitutes constant illness, aka imbalance within, which is then reflected by the imbalance in our soil or our sea of microbes, which we came here living in. And now that sea of microbes is completely changed in many areas on the planet, especially in this country. And I heard the UK is followed right behind us in destroying our topsoil. So our topsoil, I heard on, it's probably another podcast recently by Dr. Zach Bush, who's done a lot of research on soil. And back in the age of the dinosaurs, okay, think of how big and vast they were. And they were probably pretty intelligent as well, but not as intelligent as us. I think we're something else. But the soil back then and the plants that they had were just like nothing else. I mean, we wouldn't even know such, soil, but it went so deep. I don't even remember. It was crazy. It was like, just say several feet deep of rich topsoil. Okay, with billions and trillions and just more than we can ever imagine of a microbial beings down below that surface of Earth. And now we can't even find 3 inches of healthy topsoil on most of our let's say, country. Okay, I'm talking about this continent that we're living on in North America. So much of the topsoil is completely just dead. And that's why our food isn't as healthy. And that's why, the monocropping culture of farming that's been happening for decades has completely destroyed, not just with the pesticides used, but the monocropping of just, trying to grow one crop over and over, which really does not work over time. And then they try to, put all these chemicals on top of the soil, which to try to help it so that the monocrops can keep monocropping, but then that doesn't work. And then that just depletes the soil more and more and more. And it's just this like vicious, deadly cycle that has become quite a problem. And now, most recently, some of these farmers, let's say, are trying to save their farms and listen to the people that know about soil and try to then regeneratively farm their farm to save it, to bring back the soil, right? So that is a whole thing. And luckily, we have the tools to do that. And if some of these farmers will keep listening to the people that know how to have healthy soil, then they, again, will be able to save their farms and will be able to save our food systems. That's a whole nother podcast, is talking about the food system, talking about, growing our own food. And it's very, very important topic. The disturbances in our food system is real, and we are coming to an end of it, where change must happen and is slowly but surely happening, thankfully. So another question asks, if we imagine life and life as intelligence, then wouldn't a vessel with more life have more intelligence? This is literally food for thought. What is more life? Life consists of living organisms. We are all living organisms with other living organisms within us. Right? We wouldn't be alive if we didn't have living organisms within us. It's just the way life is. There's just living organisms all around us, on plants, in the soil, which our food grows, that sustains us, in the air we breathe. And also, some food for thought is that you may be thinking, well, there's bad organisms. There's organisms that make us sick. And yes, this is true, but a lot of that has happened because of the use of chemicals and antibiotics that have destroyed a lot of the healthy organisms, which then makes more of the not so healthy organisms thrive and take over. And, then there's new ones. And now I'm going into a whole nother topic where we could, also have a podcast on that. And antibiotic resistant organisms that, no longer, they actually become superbugs, they're called, because they no longer can be treated by the antibiotic. And it actually, over time, will make them become stronger, and there'll be new bugs or, viruses, bacteria that come about. It's very interesting. And organisms are living organisms. Let's just call them living organisms, are very powerful. So how has life been destroyed? What a trip this is to realize that when we can accept this to be true is the first step in the reprocess of our innate connection. Always awareness first, or the reestablishment of. And only then can we nurture oneself in a way as a whole being connected to all other living organisms. So how has life been destroyed? Let's just talk a little bit about this. I was just touching on it. The word antibiotic, most people don't question before consuming. Not to mention, though I will, the hidden antibiotics that we consume every time we eat out without consciously knowing the source of what we are eating, or buying foods grown conventionally with pesticides and antibiotics. Thus, most of us are inevitably constantly destroying our internal microbiome on a daily. Yikes. And that's not even to go into other things like what we're washing our body and our hands with. That's destroying remember, our skin is our largest organ. And so many of us are putting chemicals on our hands that will also kill our healthy flora, our healthy microbes that are on our hands when we wash them. We want there to be healthy microbes on our hands that are in balance with maybe what might not be healthy that we're trying to wash off, right? But we want there to be a balance, because if we're killing off all life, then the good life, the good guys that are there won't be there anymore to protect us, right? So remembering that anti means against, bio means life. So against life or killing of life. Okay. That is happening constantly all around us with the chemicals that we are consuming, with chemicals that are being put on our food system. And this bacterial life that millions have been killing over many decades now is having an iconic outcome, to say the least, over humanity as a whole. As our bodies become less filled with the friendly microbes that we were born with, that we're obviously meant to embody and keep for optimum health on this planet, once killed off, very difficult to retreat back to optimal homeostasis. Okay. I'm not saying it can't be done, but it will take time. And I know this from personal experience. So my curiosity has got me still searching for answers. Why are we such a sick culture? Conventional medicine is not making us any healthier. Where does illness stem from? What has changed in this lifetime? Well, our microbiome connection is the core to all health and well-being. I know that. So how can we all live more consciously amongst nature, being more in union? Here's some gut healthy tips to think about, to take in, to resonate. Maybe some of them are ones that you're like, oh, I already do this, or, oh, I want to do that more. We all need to remember things more. So here you go. Recognition, of course, is the most important of this intrinsic connection for our health, as well as the health of the planet. So, number one, recognizing what is. Choosing organically grown foods free from antibiotics that destroy your microbiome connection. Number three, go barefoot and touch the earth. Put your hands in healthy soil. If you're in a forest, if you're in a garden that's grown organically, put your hands in there. Don't be afraid. Okay. I did bring this up again on my other microbiome podcast a few months back, but I was told this by a pretty well, known doctor here in the North Bay that I saw several years ago, but I believe he was an integrative medicine, like chiropractor, and he was, pretty helpful. He had some really cool diagnostic tools, I remember. And one of the things he told me, which you would think, how is this relating to my pain? But it was a good tip. And I've never really liked to wear gloves gardening anyway, but he said, you can't get all the bacteria back that you've lost in your body, all the microbes that you used to have. You're not going to be able to get all of those back that you've destroyed from a pill. Okay, there's lots of probiotics and prebiotics for your probiotics to eat and all this stuff on the market, right? Well, there's only so many strains they can capture in a pill, and there's trillions of microbes. So, and many we're supposed to have in our body to help us. And so, if you've done destruction on your own microbes, and you know that you have, you know you're not going to be able to necessarily replenish those from taking a pill. Not only that, most of the pills cost $1 or $2 a day to take, and that adds up. So an easy way, he told me, and I don't know if I knew this at all or if it was kind of like at the time, like, wow, this is really profound and okay. But I did know I didn't like to, necessarily wear gloves, and I love gardening. And so it was like confirmation that it's okay, to not use gloves. And yes, you've probably also heard that, well, if you don't use gloves, then, you can get, stuff under your fingernails, and that's like parasites can get into your body that way and whatnot. Okay, I just want to say something about parasites as well, really briefly, because that's a whole nother episode. But yes, parasites that are out of control in your body can make you sick. And there are some that are worse than others too. But most of us are walking around with some kind of parasite. And, whether we want to believe that or not, because it seems really gross, the key is, it's kind of similar to what we're talking about with, microorganisms. They can essentially be bad for our health, yes, but we want to keep them in control. And one way of doing that is having healthy microbes, right? Is strengthening our gut health and trying to replenish our healthy microbes in our body, having a healthy balance of microbes. And the healthy balance is even meaning, having the balance with the parasites so that they're not taking over, because they will take over on somebody's body that is less healthy even more, especially if your gut has been destroyed and you don't have a lot of healthy microbes in there anymore. Then certain parasites will be able to flourish and take over even more. Okay. And I'm not going to get into all of that right now. I'm just going to keep it simple. Back to what Dr. DeFino had said to me. He stated that it was important to get my hands in the soil. Okay. It's just, don't be afraid to put your hands in the sand. I would say, talking about parasites a little bit here, don't necessarily walk barefoot or dig your hands in soil that has animal feces in it, especially dog poop, right, or cat poop. That I'm not advocating that whatsoever, and that is a way to obviously get some unhealthy bacteria or unhealthy some parasites in your body, which you're trying to avoid, of course. So. But if you know that the soil is like rich and healthy and, even like healthy compost, then it's got, good microbes in it, or in the forest, the untouched forest. I say untouched, if it's somewhere where it's not just on the beaten path, and you lift some of the leaves and stuff and kind of go down into the soil, the loam down in there where the mycorrhiza is. You'll see like the little white stuff. That's the mycorrhiza. That's like the connection with the different plants. And there's going to be healthy microbes in there. And if you touch that, with your hands and just, play with it or whatever, that is a connection. That is a deep connection right there with earth. And you will feel better. You'll probably feel it energetically. you are going to be getting those microbes in your body in a free way, not having to buy a pill at the market. So this is a great way to reintroduce microbial diversity for your microbiome to thrive. Being in nature as much as possible, drinking living water from springs far enough away, again, from fecal matter, which is a source of pollution. If unknown, buy bottled spring water in glass. Remembering that we are all made up also of minerals coming from the deep heart of the earth. So the earth is made up of minerals, and so are we. We are mostly water, and the water in us needs minerals to do our bodily functions. It's very important. And if we're lacking in minerals, our health will be lacking as well. Breathing also connects us. So practicing deep breathing or pranayama breath, which is conscious breath work. There are many different pranayama exercises. I will link some in the show notes that are beneficial to your health. And once you learn a few, then you'll just, if you keep practicing, you'll remember. And anywhere you are at any time, coming back to your breath, practicing that pranayama breath will bring you so much benefits. Gratitude, giving thanks for anything that you have that is good, that is simple way to connect, okay? These are all ways to connect back to earth, and that will bring you more peace in your life. Go slow down, and trust in the process. Okay, I could also go on to say, with the breathing, with the having the gratitude prayer, turn that into a prayer, giving thanks, going slowing down, breathing. You can make a whole ritual out of this with, your live water, your being barefoot, and giving thanks, breathing consciously. That could be brought into a practice of meditation if you'd like. Do this, outside in nature, and you will truly feel connected again, bringing more joy into your life, into your being, connecting with your microbes. And so I'm going to leave you with a few fun facts that I discovered. Microbes in healthy soil are cousins to the ones in your gut. Okay, so just think of that. They want to relate with one another. They want to connect, to be connected and to play with one another. So we have the same microbes. We share those same microbes that are in healthy soil that we also embody within our bodies. Living soil surrounding us everywhere in nature is the most complex living life form, giving life to all. Just 1 teaspoon has more microbial activity than all humans do on this planet. Okay, and we're talking about living soil that has not been touched by conventional agriculture. Okay, the most live soil that we can find, or maybe that we can create with regenerative farming, I don't know. But I would say that fact probably is stemming from living soil that has been untouched, that's maybe deep in the forest somewhere. So this is a reflection of the natural beauty that is found in nature. If you think about, if you go into a forest or you go on a hike somewhere in the springtime, and all the natural beauty and all the flowers that just come up, that spring up from the earth after the winter rains. And it's like, okay, it's a miracle, right? Like, where did that come from? where does all this natural beauty come from? You think it just is? No, it's coming from some magic that's happening in the soil. And is that magic just coming from deadness? Is it coming from just nothing? No, it's got to be coming from life, right? It's got to be coming from some life force, some deep shit, some magic that's happening beneath the earth that is giving life to that which sprouts up and grows. And that is living organisms, right? Just like we have living organisms in us that help us to be healthy, that help us to grow. Time in nature actually restores your immune system. That is something to look into, and I believe it to be factual. Spending time in nature will actually restore your immune system. So this is a broad subject for sure. I'm going to keep it somewhat short. This is fascinating, and I will be writing more on this connection to self as we are all one with the universal planet. More on this in the future. And when this connection to self through our microbiome is completely lost, then all health which sustains us will also be lost. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope that you're all well and enjoying life wherever you are. Until next time, next week, I will join you again with more healthy news. Love you. Please follow me wherever you're listening. Give me a review and stay in touch. Be well, be at peace with one another. Stay strong. Love and blessings. Bye now.
It's just a matter of time before you make the connection. It's just a matter of time before you make the connection.
Thank you all so very much for listening today. I genuinely hope that you learned something, and I invite you to join me each week so you never miss a conscious wellness beat. This podcast holds a special place in my heart dedicated to my evolution here, my passionate mission to spread more consciousness for the much needed wellness on Earth. Come join me as a guest as well. Let's collaborate, making change for future generations.